areas throughout the city. Council has to approve each location, and rules for the program and how the camps are operated are written and approved by the city manager. So, and I've got those rules for you here today, which I'll pass out afterwards. So how this ended up playing out is that we work with nonprofits who then oversee each location, and this particular site and many of our sites is operated by community supported shelters and Eric DeBurr, and I'll turn it over to him.
Okay. How much time do we have here? Half an hour to 35 minutes. Okay. Well, we'll leave lots of rooms for questions because I think that your questions are going to probably guide this, better than just me talking and assuming I know what you want to talk about. So we started off with making the Conestoga huts, and when we started making the Conestoga huts, we started to get a lot of people coming to our shop and saying, how do we get into a Conestoga hut? And they're placed primarily, or at that time they were placed primarily at churches, church sites, and that's a great program too, but it takes a bold congregation to want to, live that boldly with their faith. And so many churches don't take that plunge, and some do. And we just got tired of sending people to a waiting list that wasn't moving. So when we heard about the rest stop ordinance, we created a proposal and we submitted it to the city, and that's kind of like the 2-minute version of how we got here. Over the course of the last 2.5 years, we have just played around with what works and what doesn't work, and what is the need, and how do we facilitate transition and also provide stability and opportunities for growth in the program. So, and we're always developing our strategy and redeveloping it and trying new things. The fundamentals of the structure of this are shelters, a common kitchen with running water and propane, a propane stove, a common area for meetings and gatherings, a porta potties, trash service, which somebody's demonstrating here for us. We're working on implementing different forms of electricity for charging small devices. Here we do have some solar panels hooked up by a previous resident, and they still use them now. They work better on sunny days. And then we have a backup generator for the Pacific Northwest winters. Garden mulch paths are really important for our climate, and garden beds. So again, that's just a quick rundown.
You have showers?
No, we don't have showers here. There's other services that provide showers. The ways that people do get showers are the Eugene Mission, the St. Vincent de Paul Service Station, which is a day center, and Friends and Family, or the city pools. Those are the 4 top ways that people do showers. I keep putting it out to university students who need something to do to develop a shower system that might work here. I think something that would be hand cranked would be really cool, but we haven't gotten that far, and I've had a hard time getting the DEQ out here to really look over how we handle gray water, but I think we're handling it just fine now. But a shower would add extra to that system that we might not be able to handle right now. So let's just kind of walk through and just ask questions. I don't know who you all are and what you all do, but I would like to hear your questions.
I have a question just about the logistics of working with the city pools for showers. Do you as a nonprofit pay anything, or is it just free for anyone who's, doesn't?
Right. We used to do that. We used to do that. We don't do that anymore, so people just pay for it themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have a special deal.
No, but they're rather inexpensive. I think they're 50 cents at a certain place at a certain time. Okay, that's a good question. Let's wait till.
Repeat the question.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait for everybody to catch up. So somebody just asked the question, how long can people stay here? So if you want to hear this question, don't get distracted. So we have two forms of residents here. We have temporary residents, and then we have our volunteer staff team. And Gary and Sherry are part of that volunteer staff team, which is why they're here. And they can also answer questions too. Then we always have somebody on gate. Everybody here participates on gate duty. So the temporary residents, they have a total of 10 months to be here. And there's a couple of stages they go through first. They have a 30-day trial period to make sure that they're a good fit for the camp. If more than 2 violations in that 30-day period, they usually don't make it past that. After that, they have 6 months of space to make improvements in their life, whatever that is, whatever their goals are. We're just interested in seeing progress. And our organization meets with all the temporary campers, soon to be once a month, to just keep track of what their goals are. After 6 months, if we see that they're making progress and they still need a place to be, we'll extend their stay another 3 months. So that's what the 10 months are comprised of. And we're very clear up front when people come in here, this is a space to improve your situation, and we have those expectations of you. And so if down the road we can always bring that up. We're very, very strong up front on what the expectations are to make sure that people are using this as a stepping stone to improve their situation.
What are the expectations?
Well, there's the one of that you're going to use this as not a place to steal bicycles and then next month we start working again with the city of Eugene, helping to maintain city parks and get to chores that are hard. Compost, and what happened is it kind of worked its way into the ground, and then we put bark mulch on top, so there was kind of like a swamp here. So we got, after a meeting, what we did is anybody who's physically able to do that, get compost, and what happened is it kind of worked its way into the ground, and then we put bark mulch on top, so there was kind of like a swamp here. So we got, after a meeting, what we did is anybody who's physically able to do that, get out here and we dig it all up, and we put it somewhere else, and we put gravel, and we put bark mulch chips. And those kinds of experiences are very, very healthy for people. People need to feel like they're useful, and they can be useful to improve their situation. And they can't use drugs and alcohol on site. You can use it outside, and if you come back and you're intoxicated, at that point, it's your stay here is based on your behavior. If you're intoxicated and you're making belligerent threats to people, chances are you're not going to be able to stay here. So we give people chances to. We don't encourage it, but we also work with people. Oftentimes, we'll require people to go if they're consistently a problem. There's a treatment facility called Willamette Family Treatment Center. We'll require them to go into that program, outpatient, sometimes inpatient. Sometimes we say, you're not ready for the program. If you go into an inpatient treatment for 90 days, we'll have a spot for you when you get out. So to give them a sense of a path to improvement is first get the treatment there and then try us again. Because we do work on maintaining a specific quality of life here for people. It's not they go to bed here before I do. It's very quiet here. What time do you say it would get quiet here?
When it gets dark, most people go to bed when the sun goes down.
Yeah, that's one thing that people really value here is their sleep. And that's why we call it a safe spot. It's a safe spot for your stuff. It's a safe spot for you. It's a safe spot to get rest and to be able to do something the next day.
But people have to leave here during the day?
From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Yeah.
Unless they're management.
So
And the management, that's one of
the purpose of that really is that they can go out and they can find jobs, instead of sitting around here all day long doing nothing with their lives. This gives them an opportunity, to get out and get your driver's license if you don't have one, your state ID, or just several.
find a job or whatever is going to improve your life. get on a housing list, go to your meetings for that and stuff.
And we do that Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday. So you basically they have their
And
work
the
week.
weekend, you can stay, you can go. It's kind of an open gate thing.
Yeah.
So.
And we try to promote. We treat everybody like brothers and sisters. You know, we try to promote that. You know, to give everybody a community, family feeling. You know, and that's a good thing because a lot of people have been on the streets, been going through a lot of crisis, and then they come here and they find a little community. I don't know. Relax. Don't have to be nervous.
And they're comfortable, but I kind of have a motto that you're comfortable, but you're not too comfortable.
Right.
You're not so comfortable that you want to stay here forever, but you're comfortable enough to be able to heal and to rest and to plan those sorts of things.
How did you raise money?
How did
I'll
they
get-
get to the point where they get here? And then also, once they're here, what sort of democratic process is there, right? You know, this community, like, who gets to vote on decisions being made for the community?
I wouldn't say that we're self-governed. I wouldn't call these kind of camps self-governed, but I would say that they're self-managed. And so there's more of a council that has experience that proposes new rules and such. I wouldn't say that it's fully democratic, like everybody. We don't do that. We don't do consensus here. Though for some decisions, I guess we do. So we're kind of loose, But for the main decisions about policies and how this is structured, it's more. It's kind of based on input. Like our office is on Grand Street, and we have people who trickle in there throughout the day. And for instance, I just give an example. There's a camper from another camp. We've been having a problem with people ditching out on their gate duty. And he suggested an idea, and we floated it by people at that camp. We haven't floated it here yet, but it's not really a problem here. And the management team over there decided, yes, that has a better chance of helping make sure that people don't miss their gate duties than the way it was before. So it's not consensus, but we take a lot of input from people who are living in these camps to structure the overall program. Hold on, you had a question.
Yeah, you raised the money for these to put these up and manage these, correct? Through your nonprofit.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Oh, I don't know. We started off. We started off with a lot less money, and we still have a little bit of money that we work with. But in the beginning, so it wasn't grants. It was really just working hard and connecting with potential donors, and just building up that donor pool very slowly. Reaching. I mean, there's the choir, and you start with the choir, and then over time, people come out of the woodworks. We had really big sales. We would just get stuff. I mean, that's a lot of work. So it's been it's a little bit, I imagine, like giving birth, and you don't know how you're gonna do it, but you're gonna birth this thing, however you're gonna do it.
Well, so how much a month to maintain the thing?
So like one camp.
Yeah. It's the budget for this place per month.
So if you're just talking about the ongoing physical expenses, there's porta potties, that's $130 a month. The trash, it's $50 a month. There's water, which is anywhere between $20 and $30 a month. There's supplies. The camp has their own fund, and then we also help out with supplies. That could be maybe $30 a month. There's staff time is probably around $800 a month.
And food?
We don't buy food. The campers, they work together a lot on that, and we get a lot of donations, and we funnel donations. Eugene is really good at social networking. I mean, we work with a guy who's homeless himself, and he's always scouting the dumpsters. And Trader Joe's is a fantastic dumpster, and the food, it's just it's hit its expiration date, but it's still good, and we put it in the freezer or whatever. We do what we need to do, and we salvage it. So I mean, that's not the only way we get food. There's Food for Lane County. They've been bringing by some boxes or with volunteers, and then people just bring by donations of food. I mean, it comes in all different sorts.
You're talking about $1,100 a month, roughly.
I would, just to be safe, I would say $1,500 a month per camp. Just because I don't have my records in front of me.
Sure.
So I don't want to quote you guys too low.
Is there an optimum size for the number of occupants from a management perspective?
Yeah.
And also from a community building perspective, so the connections are good?
Yeah. 20 people. Don't go above 20. I think 20 is manageable. And also, if you get more than 20, you need another porta potty. And
No families,
Yeah.
right?
we don't do kids.
And is it couples?
Yep.
Or just singles?
Oh no, it's not their final destination. None of them.
We're probably going to be leaving within the next 6 months, hopefully. We've got a savings account going. We've acquired a fifth wheel, and we're going to look for a place to park it and save our money so we can afford the lot rent when we move in.
So you said if
Oh,
one's an
okay.
individual and has their own individual goals, they've got 6 months, you give them to do what they want to do. Can you talk a little bit about how living in this community and having people in community with them is supportive and positive in helping them get to some of those goals?
Well, so we really work to seed a culture of cooperation here, and it usually takes a little bit of time for the camps and going through our meetings to kind of jumpstart that, because you deal with a lot of trust issues when you're on the streets, and really believing this is a safe place is something that you can only experience over time. So there's sort of just a reset period that happens at first, and you can actually kind of relax and stabilize physically and mentally. So that's the first step, because if you're not stable, chances are you're not thinking clearly, and you're going to be more apt to make rash decisions that might not support your best interest. So just stabilizing, and a lot of people that I've worked with, they have a background of some kind of family abuse. So learning to live with other people in a way that's not abusive is also one of the more helpful qualities of this kind of program, and also getting practice at being independent, which is a major thing for success later on, compared to like institutionalized ways of dealing with people who are experiencing homelessness. Like when you have a little shelter like this, you're practicing playing house. And we can learn from how somebody lives in this, how they might fare in housing. So when we're working with caseworkers from other service providers, we can say, you're going to have to watch out for this and this. I mean, in some situations, have had to help people clean up from, hoarding is one of my pet peeves, and it's one of the things that I try to spot early on so it doesn't become a problem. And we've had to help people actually clean up their stuff a couple times, and in the process, hopefully teaching them that, to succeed somewhere else, they have to rein in that habit. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
You think that's
Doing
kind of
life skills, just being in the community.
Life skills,
Right.
exactly. Life skills is the phrase.
So you mentioned treatment. Is treatment readily accessible when people are
Outpatient treatment is. In my experience, outpatient treatment isn't super successful. I think being in a community like this, and this is another thing to answer your question, where there's more focus on staying sober, has been helpful to a lot of people. We've had people who have just gotten off methamphetamines come to our programs and stay clean, and actually move on to housing later on, and stay clean the whole time, because they're not around people who are seeking that. And every once in a while, we see who is, and we try to work with them. And I like to say, just corner them, and say, this is not a place for that. But in the process of that, we're trying to teach those people to prioritize their safety rather than prioritize their habits and their addictions. So we try to work with people in that way. And we'll even take people back if they've been evicted and give them another shot, you know, when they later on. Oh.
Yeah, so the ordinance is passed making this possible. How did you actually find the land, and what was the relationship with the neighbors?
So this land was on one of the early city lists.
This is city-owned land.
This is city land. Did you want to answer some of that?
Sure, I can chime in. Yeah.
Okay. So all of our projects are on city land except for the one that's at the Eugene Mission.
So, and the ordinance is really clear about where we can place a rest stop and where we cannot. So there are guidelines, and some of the more significant guidelines are that it can't be, or a rest stop can't reside near a school or near a residential area, which is why this is really kind of this is zoned industrial. This is city-owned property, and as Eric said, 4 of the rest stops are on city-owned property. We have 2 on county property, and then Eric developed a relationship with the director of the Eugene Mission, and now we have another site there. But that is the most challenging part of expanding the rest stop program, actually finding properties that meet that criteria.
And their houses across the street, so
those are right. So, but this is all zoned industrial.
Right, but did the neighbors across the street have anything to say?
So when we think about outreach, we have our Office of Human Rights and Neighborhood Involvement will go door to door in a neighborhood and hold community meetings before we establish a new rest stop.
Yeah. Before we opened this, I had a meeting with the local neighborhood association, and you know, they brought their pitchforks and torches, but once they heard what the proposal was, they were behind it. So this neighborhood was a little tenuous, just because they seem, you know, they just opened up the Opportunity Village and the service station, so there's a lot of impoverishment already. So they can feel kind of maybe in their term, you know, shit on, you know, with these kinds of projects. But once they heard the project, they were very open to it, and we have a very good relationship. And also the neighbor, there used to be a business here, but it changed hands recently, and he was very upset at first. He told me, he pointed his finger at me, and he said, "You're gonna fail, and if you put that there, I'm gonna move my business." And he didn't actually move his business because we put it here. I checked it back in with him, like, you know, maybe 8 months later, and he's like, "I have no problem. I don't even know they're there." So it's a lot about working with the idea of what it is, and because I think maybe, you know, they first call it a homeless camp, you know, but once you see it, it's actually not. It's not really a homeless camp. I like to think of it as a much needed sect of the housing inventory that we need to deal with the overall fallout that we're experiencing, and dealing with all the social issues that we're dealing with. We need infrastructure like this, so we have a safety net for people who are falling down.
You say that once they heard about what the project consisted of, then they were okay with it.
Yeah.
What would you say were the key aspects that reassured folks that it would be an okay?
The 10 to 4 out rule was a big one. The no drugs and alcohol on site were a big one. The community engagement through our service work parties was an important one. That there was a nonprofit that was overseeing it was an important one as well. I think those 4 were probably the most. Once they heard those, they said, "Oh, this is something different."
It's not just a place where anybody can set up camp for anyone.
Yeah, there's a vetting process that we don't really do background checks, though. I think at that point, I'll just be transparent, I think that we said we would, and I've done a couple. But I found that I've learned that the people who are seeking this program are actually wanting to improve their situation, and that seems like to be who we attract. And if they're not looking to improve their situation, oftentimes they'll get in the camp and then they'll see, you know, the hope is, and what we see is that they see it's possible to improve the situation. And that's really what we want. We want to actually help people see that there can be avenues to an improved situation. You got a question.
How many people are here now?
Here in this camp?
Yeah.
20 people. I'm sure.
It's maxed out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
How do you decide who gets in and do you have a wait list?
We have a wait list. Yeah. There is probably 50 to 70 people actively on our wait list right now. And so, Mia was talking about the restrictions on where we can place them. That is one of the frustrating things for us that, we're hoping that over time these kinds of projects could be let into neighborhoods because it's just a neighborhood. But we understand that that's easier said than done.
Even if you had more places to go in, it sounds like the management, the people who are here helping run it are a major part of the success or not.
Oh,
So
yeah.
even if you had more locations, that's not necessarily the only challenge, or would it help to have another location?
It's the what the need is always changing. Like
Mhm.
right now we have we're always courting for new staff members, especially because we have another camp opening up, and there's several people in the wings that could be managers. So right now, as we're opening up a fourth camp, I would say financial stability is one of our main challenges. Knowing that we can keep this going without government grants and that sort of thing, and just with our donor base. We have a donor base maybe of around 300 to 350 donors, from all the way from $10 to $5,000. So we see a lot more on the lower end, of course, but every little bit helps.
How much did it cost you initially to set up the camp? What are these called?
Well, these are tent platforms with covers.
Okay.
And then we have the Conestoga huts, which are and I think we're getting really close to be able to actually change out these platforms with tents with Conestoga huts. So the initial startup costs, when we started this, so me and my family have kind of taken a bit of a vow of volunteer poverty. We're not in this to make money, so we also live in a slightly bigger hut behind our shop and office. So we've never really, there's been months that gone by in the past that we haven't taken any, we haven't had the resources to pay us, but that's okay because we also get free rent there. But I have a child, and so I have to think about his needs. So we get a small stipend now that we're able to use. So, but nowadays, my board president would be very upset if I said anything less than it takes $30,000 to start a camp.
How many dogs can you have?
You can only have 3 pets per camp. 3 pets. That's 3 cats or 3 dogs or 2 cats and 1 dog.
How do you decide what gets?
Well, if we usually don't like it and promote that people get pets while they're here. It's like if they're coming here. So if they're coming here with a pet, if they're on the waiting list and there's 3 pets here right now, we've been known to push it to 4, but 4 is a bit much, and so they have to wait, or they have to find a temporary home for their pet, which some people have done. And I actually encourage that because if you have to care for a pet when you're trying to improve your own situation, and it's not a service animal, maybe the service animal is a whole different story. But what's more common is companion animals, which I don't know. I've heard that renters can't discriminate against that, but they can just say no pets allowed. So.
I think we have time for just a few more questions. One of the things we didn't talk about, the council ordinance is renewed on an annual basis. It has an annual expiration date, and the council has to vote each year as to whether or not they want to extend it. And they've chosen to extend it since 2013, largely in part because of Eric's management of the camps and the success that they have proven to the neighbors in each of the sites. We do have a report that the university students put together, and I can send that to Tammy at the City of Boulder so that all of you can see that. It includes data and some feedback that we received from neighborhoods when we conducted some outreach to check in and see how things were going, and that was done fall, so I'll send that your way. Then I think we probably have just time for a few more questions.
Okay.
I'm just curious about the seasonal appropriateness of this. We live in a place with winters. Where it snows a lot, it's a little freezing. I'm curious, how harsh does it get here, and what are your thoughts on the year-round applicability of this?
Yeah, here, we have somewhat mild winters. I mean, we don't have heavy snow. And that I would say that it's just more of an infrastructure question that you're asking. Like we can get by with this infrastructure here, and it works. So, but with a heavy snow, you just might need something more like a Conestoga hut for dealing with the snow loads. And I'm from here, so I'm kind of built for this ecosystem, this bioregion.
And you have raspberries.
We have raspberries.
We do.
Yeah.
So inside those huts, it's just.
Oh yeah, more than welcome to look inside ours.
if
And
you want to see ours,
just
this
because I
is
know,
ours.
I'll hand out the brochure.
Here, Gary, let
Community supported shelter.
You're welcome to step inside and look around if you want to.
Yeah, he's a new dog.
Thank you.
Eric, what is the material on the Conestoga huts? The plastic.
It's
shell.
called Durascrim.
Okay, that stuff looks pretty good.
It is, but we do have an upgrade coming to put on some TPO and some vinyl instead to see how well that does.
How long does this tend to last?
Well, in this climate, I think it'll last 6 years.
Wow. Where do you get it from?
You order it online. You look up Durascrim.
Okay.
And if you need contact information, this stuff is great stuff.
I felt it. It's pretty damn strong.
Yeah, it's strong. It'd be great for a greenhouse too.
Cool.
Do you allow firearms?
Oh, absolutely not. No weapons. No, I've had to, little knives like Leathermans and pocket knives. I don't care about, but we did have an instance where somebody did say that they had a gun, and we just got rid of it right away. And then he regretted it later, but he's still on our waiting list.
And have you had problems with